Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 50 of the Size Up by National Fire Radio, because what you do off the job matters. And happy 2024. This is our first episode of the new year, and it just so happens to be episode 50, which is kind of a cool coincidence, I guess. And I promised, I rarely promise someone a specific episode, I guess is a good way to put it for it. But I promised my guest today that he could be episode 50, like 12 episodes ago. So I owed it to him to do this. And it just so happened perfectly that it's starting a new year. So without further ado, it's kind of weird. Like, I'm welcoming him, but I've been around him since he rolled out of bed at like 11 o'clock this morning on his winter break. Is my number one son, Finnegan. How are you today, Finn?
I'm doing great, Dad. Feeling good.
It's like we haven't spent the morning together, right? We're just gonna lie about it a little bit here.
I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's been so long.
We haven't talked in a bit. Yeah,
we haven't talked in forever. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, you can see Finn and I are repping some new Size Up merch that is not available for purchase. It was a little holiday gift that I got for the team behind the Size Up this year. So Finn and Declan, my other son, who will eventually be on an episode, which should be quite interesting, don't you think?
It's going to be a crazy one.
It's going to be something else, right? But for Tracy, you know, my wife, and for Jeremy and Sebi, you know, everybody puts in work to make this podcast happen, including my family for allowing me to do it, and kind of giving up some space in the house and, you know, all the other great things they do in the background. So we got some cool gear. So, you know, if you're checking it out, I'm quite excited with it, actually. How about you?
It looks great. I love it.
Yeah.
Some expensive Carhartt too. It's pretty nice. Good material.
Real nice, Finn. Some expensive Carhartt, but it is Carhartt, which is a great brand to go. They don't sponsor the podcast though, buddy. So it doesn't help when you throw a shout out.
I don't like Carhartt.
No, don't do that though. We want them to sponsor the podcast.
Please sponsor us, Carhartt. Please.
So it's cool because Finn has been watching me do the podcast since, you know, the first start. I really have to stop talking about that too. Like, and then the reboot. And he's been like, Dad, when am I going to be on? You know, Mom's been on. And earlier today, I was like, hey, man, so what do you want to talk about today on the podcast? And we went through a couple topics and I gave him some pro tips, I guess. But in true, you know, he's my son. What did you tell me when I was asking you, what do you want to talk about? The wise ass part.
What?
Your answer back was what? Oh, he's like,
I don't have a good memory.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't have a good memory at 13. He's like, Dad, you're the host. You're supposed to be the one asking me the questions, and then I answer them. So, like, how can you beat that when your kid is throwing them right back at you at 13?
Yeah, some comebacks. I don't remember them after I say them, though. Kind of just go down the drain.
So what's it like being 13 years old here it's 2023 today, but I guess we can just say 2024. Let's start that route. Like, what's it like being a kid at 13?
What's it like being a kid at 13? That's a good question, you know? So I guess with like, especially at my age, social media is a big topic floating around and like rumors spread and stuff. And when you're this age, it's hard to figure out what to believe and stuff, I guess. And I guess that plays a big role in my age right now because lots of kids participate in social media and they're on these accounts, and we're slowly learning stuff in this new age. So being like the first generation to grow up with this kind of social media and new technology, I guess that plays a really big part right now at where I'm at in life.
Dude, it's like a proud dad moment answer right there. I'm just gonna timestamp that one. I should have actually been timestamping that the whole time because that was really good answer, buddy. But I think you're right in a few things, and I think you may be a little wrong in something.
Yeah.
Because listen, adults are having issues understanding what's true on social media and what's not true when it comes down to it. So it's a big thing that we're all kind of learning. And for you, I guess you could say like you're the first generation kind of growing up with social media. There were some kids that were I would say so. Finn's 13. I guess if you're like 20, you kind of grew up with social media, but it wasn't as in your face as it
Yeah.
is now. It wasn't so front
It
standing, right?
wasn't like it is today, yeah. It's
Yeah.
really like becoming something bigger now than it was back then, I guess.
I think too, and something that I've noticed with you, buddy, and not just with you, but your generation too, though, is that because you have social media and all this information at your fingertips and the ability to communicate in so many different ways, I've noticed for you, you barely talk to anyone on the phone. You basically text and snap and
Yeah.
do all these other things that I don't even know about, right?
Yeah, but also just for me, I'm not really a big phone call texting person. I like hanging out with my friends in person. Like I don't really know how some of these kids they're on their phone 24/7 texting their friends when they could be out with them or doing something else. It feels a little weird to me because when I'm texting my friends, I'm like, how fast can I end this conversation so I don't have to be texting right now? Or how fast can I end this phone call so I don't have to be on the phone?
But do you think that's just you? Like you don't like to be on the phone or you don't like to be
Yeah,
texting?
that's definitely just me. Because I mean, I know some kids that they just love texting their friends and talking 24/7. And don't get me wrong, I love talking to my friends, but I'd much rather be in person. And I bet that goes for a lot of people, but the texting aspect of it is definitely not my favorite.
I mean, I can tell you when I was your age, I was on the phone with my friends from like the second I got home from school until grandma and poppy were like, go to bed,
Yeah,
Bobby, go to bed.
exactly.
Like you're not that kid though. Like you're not, and it's a hot button topic in parenting, obviously, is social media. And there are parents that we know whose kids are the same age as Finn. I think by this point at 13, eighth gradish, you have to relent at some point. I don't really think anyone is the only people that really aren't on social media. Either it's their choice or their parents have
Yeah,
removed them from social media, let's say.
pretty much.
We've known some folks at this point, but you get to a point where you have to trust your kids and you have to pay attention to what they're doing. And we definitely with Finn in the beginnings of all this were way more on top of what he's doing now, but we're still on top of it to the point that I know what he's posting about and who he's talking to. But do you feel like we're too much on top of that for you, or is it just the right amount? You can.
No, I think it's just the right amount because I feel like if you weren't knowing what I was doing most of the time or as much as you do now, it wouldn't be safe. And I
True.
think you've really given me the opportunity to let me be myself freely, but also explain to me some the right and wrong and what I should be doing and what I shouldn't. And like those parents who just don't care about what their kid is doing online, it's really not safe at that point. And I think having that perfect balance is what you really need.
I think it's pretty interesting too. You did use the word safety because I know in your school, the school district we moved here for to send the boys to. It was one of the larger reasons we moved here, and they are really progressive in everything they do with the kids. I feel like at least,
Yeah.
and that online safety was something that never would have really thought about years ago as much as we think about it now. But the fact that they're exposing the kids and we're exposing Finn to the dangers of social media, it's basically the equivalent of telling your kids to look both ways before they cross the street,
Yeah.
like stranger danger.
In school, coming back to that, we've had like multiple assemblies about cyberbullying and safety online. And we had a whole, and in one of those assemblies, there was a whole segment about a catfish. And, I think that was really crucial. And then also in my school, we have every other Friday, we have things that we call sun lessons. That Stonebridge stands united against bullying. So we talk about multiple topics for about an hour a day. We take an hour out of the school day to talk about some controversial topics or how to be a better person, how to take care of your community. And social media and cyberbullying has definitely come up, and the safety of it has definitely come up multiple times.
It's so cool to hear, and granted, again, like I can go back to when I was his age, way in, as the boys tell me, in olden times, the 80s back then, and none of these things were ever. So like, yeah, we had an assembly, like someone would come in and talk to us about like, don't be a bully, or don't do
Yeah.
drugs. I'm trying to think, like it's like the egg commercial, like Jeremy and I have talked about, that this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs. But I feel like what they're doing now with the kids is they're really making it relevant to them. Uh, and I think that's important for them to try to, understand exactly what they have going on and how they have it going on. And it's a big deal. And I'm not even gonna lie, I'm learning things from him when he comes home from these sun lessons or these online safety lessons.
Yeah. And I mean, also going back to the drug stuff in health class, that's mostly what we're talking about right now is the effects that drugs can have in your brain and the road that it takes you down if you start using them at this age or at all. And it really seems horrible what these people go through, but I think them pushing us to not use these drugs and showing us what can happen, it's really helping us in the long run for sure.
Well, that's it too when it comes to the realities of life, right? And I think again at 13, eighth grade, he's going to be going to high school next year. These are things that these kids are seeing anyway, whether it be on TV, on the news, on social media, just when they're walking down the street or driving in the car. So explaining the ill effects of this to them in a very honest and open, upfront way. At least I have hope it's going to do something in the future for your generation, or at least the kids that go to your school district.
Yeah. I mean, we just watched a video and it was this kid started using drugs I think around 8th grade or freshman year, and it flipped his life. He did a complete 180 and he became a horrible person and he couldn't stop, and it ended up taking him to jail and he had lots of issues, and we watched his whole story of how he went through this drug usage and how he got to the point that he was at, and then he ended up going to rehab and he turned his life around. But it really showed you what can happen if you're using these drugs and you get addicted, and it was horrible to watch.
It's like that downfall, right? Like you watched him, it's what we call like circling the drain, right? And just it's gonna be, it's only gonna do this today, but then today
Yeah.
becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes the next week and such. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it works. So exposing, him being exposed to that to me is a great thing. Now, I know his mom's going to listen to this episode and just think, Tracy, how many times we're like, hey, Finn, what'd you do in school today? Nothing. Hey, buddy, what'd you learn today? Nothing. What'd you do? School stuff. But I just got this great, amazing dissertation in the last 7 minutes. So maybe we need a weekly podcast. Like, hey, what are you going to tell me what you did in school this week, buddy? What did you learn to make you a better person?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't talk much when I get home from school. I'm doing homework, or or I come back from rehearsal and I'm a little tired, and
Stress.
it's all clicking right now. It's
It's all
coming back
clicking
to
that
me.
you never, it's all coming back to you
It's
now,
coming back to
not
me.
in the you just jumped in the car after a day and I
No.
ask you some things. Right. I see how this goes. Right.
Yeah.
But it's this fun relationship that I feel like I have with my boys, and Tracy has with the boys, that, we want them to be open and upfront and honest with us about, how they're feeling and what they're doing. And I feel like we've also exposed you guys to some of our lives that are going to make you a better person that maybe our parents didn't expose us to, but issues that Tracy and I have had in our relationship. The boys are a part of our relationship as much as we are now. We are definitely a family that does a lot of things together. And it's just trying to, Jimmy said it last week, is trying to make your kids, he said stronger, faster, kinder, or better than you, and trying to raise, I have two little boys who are turning into young men, and I really don't want to F that up.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when something happens, it's something major, you don't hide it from us. And I really like that aspect of it because knowing makes it a whole lot better when it's happening than finding out afterwards. And I think being able to trust you with this kind of stuff, and I know that you'll tell me if something's happening, it makes me feel a whole lot better about myself and knowing that if anything does come up, I'm going to know about it and I don't have to worry. And I think that's really great.
And it's such a challenge as parents. Tracy and have talked about this multiple times. When we have something like Finn saying that does come up, and it's the challenge is how are we going to tell them, when are we going to tell them? Declan is 3 years younger than Finn, so he's at a little bit of a different maturity level than Finn for sure. So there's sometimes we have to tell Finn things first and tell him not to tell his younger brother, or maybe we give Finn a little bit more of the story than we would Declan, just because he's not ready to hear that. And I think that's a big part of being a parent too, is that juggling act that we do.
Yeah. Deciding what you have to do and what's right and what's wrong is it's a very big I guess what's the word? It's
Responsibility.
a very big responsibility to take on, and you can't tell everybody everything. There's always going to be someone that knows more than you, and I think you just need to know that at some point they're doing it for the right reasons. And if you know that they're doing it for the right reasons, then you know that you can trust them for sure.
And that's a whole nother thing too, right? Is that, and he just said it so eloquent, like, again, it's like another proud parent moment here, buddy. But one of the things that I know Finn is thinking about in this kind of part of the conversation is, when my mom got sick last year and we had to choose to what to tell the boys at what point in her hospice care and her illness as to, you know what they were going to know. And we started out kind of, uh, I guess a good word is more gently about that grandma was really sick, and there was going to be someone staying in the house with her, and it was going to be a little different. And then as her disease progressed, we started to give them more of the details as to what was going to happen, over the course of her illness and her eventual passing. And I mean, most of my time was spent trying to figure out how I was going to tell my boys, that their grandma was going to pass away. And they were going to be a part of this, to which choice they wanted to be, how far they wanted to be involved with it, and how removed they wanted to be involved. And Tracy and I were super impressed and proud of them and the way they acted through the whole, her illness and her passing, and the funeral and the time after that. But a lot of that, we think at least, had to do with just our open and honest conversations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was definitely a progressive process finding out what was going on. And if I knew everything that was happening right away, it would have been on my mind way too much. And I don't think I would have been able to operate in school or outside of school knowing what was going on. But also, finding out later on, it gave me the opportunity to really think about everything that happened before that and put it all together. And knowing later really let me figure out everything that I wanted to do and how I wanted to go about this situation. So I really applaud you for that. And I thank you for letting me figure it out on my own. And I mean, also, before you even told me at some point, I had to put some pieces together,
Sure.
knowing that grandma was really sick and that she was probably going to die. I just didn't have it all figured out yet. And you really helped me through that process. And I thank you so much for that. But I mean, what are you going to do? You're my dad. You kind of got to.
Well, we could thank your mom too.
Yeah. Mom
Definitely,
for
we'll definitely
stepping
thank mom
forward.
too in that one. But it's those things that you hear people say things like this, and you know, I, I didn't want this to go down such a, I guess, a dark path, but sometimes the size up does, because that's a part of life, right? And it was a part of life that I experienced with Finn and with Declan and with Tracy, with my whole family. But being a dad and experiencing it with my boys, it made it, especially being it was my mom, like as a parent to a parent to a parent, I guess is an easy way. It almost, I'm not going to say it made it easier for me, but it just made it more okay. It's an easy way to put it, right?
Yeah, I mean, having everyone by each other's side there really helped so many people through what was going on. And without each other, there's no way we would have made it through this experience.
Perfect, buddy. I think that right there, and that's it, right? We all talk about family, whether it be the family. Oh, what do they say in what does Higgins say in the Christmas post in Ted in the Christmas toast in Ted Lasso? The family that you're born with, or the family that you pick up along the way, right?
The family that you're born with or the family that you get along the way.
Yep.
Something like that.
That's it. I think that you make along the way,
Yeah.
right? There we go. We got a Ted Lasso line in this one because we are both super Ted Lasso fans. I got Ted Lasso Barbie doll for Christmas. 45 years old. So happy I got a Barbie doll. Never would have thought it would have happened in my life. But right, that family aspect of it, and whether they are the family that you're born with or the family that you make along the way, these people are so important to you. And they're there for the good times and the bad. And I think that's something that we have to, when you're kind of judging your family or your friends, if there's just folks that are there with you for the good times, and
Mhm.
then when you're low or you're having a bad time and those people kind of disappear, are they really the ones you want in your life?
Yeah, you definitely need someone who's always going to be there for you. And without those people in the bad times, you're not going to make it through you're not going to make it through the same person that you started them as. And without people by your side, it's not going to be the same as it would be if those people were with you. I mean, friends and family are one of the most important things in my life, and I could never be the same person that I am today without the friends that I made along the way and without what they've done for me. And I'm really happy that I have these great friends by my side all the time.
It's pretty cool too because you've made some friends over your course of 13 years and some that we don't really talk to anymore just because you were way younger and we moved and things, but those friends that you made when you were way younger, they were important from you. It's like mommy said, there's a reason and a season for everyone and everything. Those people were important for you at that moment in their life, in your life, and you're going to have that as life goes on because
Yeah.
daddy's definitely had it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's friends that I don't talk to anymore, or I'm start to distance myself, and it's not anything that they've done wrong or anything that I've done wrong, but at some point there's some people who change and there's some people who you don't need by your side anymore, but those people, you know that they helped you through a part in your life, and I know that without some of them I wouldn't have been the same person that I am. And even if you don't talk anymore, you still have respect for them and you still have respect for what they did for you. And that's a really important thing to think about.
I think I'm going to quit podcasting and just let this kid talk for the rest of the time on it because I mean, yeah, I got nothing for you on that one, buddy. You just laid it out there for me, man. I was trying to make this like family and friends transition, and you did it for me almost. Like, but I think this is it. Like what Finn's saying here, and that this family and friends thing is so important, and for us, it's important. Obviously, my relationship with Finn is like the single most important one in my life. Like, sorry, Tracy. And I think Tracy would agree with me too that our relationship with both Finn and Dex, they're equal in this, and we get to experience life with them. And for 13 years now, I've gotten to experience life through Finn's eyes, whether it be the magic of Christmas, even though the pitter patter of little feet has turned into slamming of feet on Christmas morning. Finn did me a favor. He made it till 7 a.m. this morning before,
7 a.m.
7 a.m. before he went
That's it.
downstairs to run down to see what Santa brought and took off before I was even out of bed, I think.
I
But
woke up 3 times before that, and I said I'm going back to sleep now because I'm not getting
that's my boy not getting in trouble.
1
Yeah.
a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. And then I waited it out.
Oh my God, at 5 a.m. I would have killed you. But anyway, but you grow up through this and you get to experience these things. And we've been so Tracy and I consider ourselves fortunate to be parents, to be the boys' parents and experience these things with them. And 2023 was a big year for us because for the boys especially, it was their first time, going on a trip overseas with our
Yeah.
our big Iceland adventure, which was planned. Believe it or not, people ask a lot about like how'd you pick Iceland, and it goes back to Tracy and Pip like dating days in my rookie firefighter apartment room and seeing you could go to Iceland for dirt cheap at the time. And we never went. And we just talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, and we never went. And finally, it was like, "Hey, boys, you want to go to Iceland? How was it?" You can't shake your head up and down. People
Well,
can't hear that.
it was amazing. I mean, I loved it. When they first brought it up at the dinner table, I was like, that's a little odd. I don't know about that one. But after going on this trip, it really showed me that there's some amazing and beautiful and special places out there. And it was really a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, for me, at this age, you see these kids and they're like, I've gone to Disney World 26 times. I'm going back 3 times this year. I've been to Hawaii 5 times. And those are the only places I've ever been aside from New Jersey. And it's like, how? How do you do that multiple times? How can you experience that knowing that there's these beautiful countries and these odd places that you can go and experience these things that you're never going to see again? I mean, I never thought that I would be going inside an ice cave in Iceland or see a geyser. And it was one of the most amazing and beautiful experiences that I've ever had in my life. And I saw so many waterfalls and beautiful plains and mountains, and I couldn't believe my eyes. It was amazing. It
No
was
forest though. No forest
no
in Iceland.
forest. If you're lost in a forest in Iceland, you stand up. But I mean, it was better than looking at Disney World and seeing all these rides in front of your eyes. I would have rather been staring at this waterfall for 12 hours while you were waiting in line for Space Mountain or something.
Iceland really was an amazing place. And, Tracy and I had talked about going there for almost 20 years and didn't even realize just how, like, I guess life changing is a good way to put it, even for us. When you hear Finn at 13 talking about it, he's not lying. Like, it was just so beautiful. And I highly recommend going there at least once for sure.
Yeah,
We know
thanks.
we want to go back and we're going to do things a little differently when we go back, I think. But just everything we did there was so meaningful. And you talk about things, especially with kids, like core memories. And look, we've done the Disney thing. You've been there 3 times.
I think so. I mean, I definitely want to go back to Disney.
We were
It's
going back to
it's a
Disney. There's no
it's
doubt.
a it's a great place, and I mean, since I went there, they've added a lot, but I mean,
We're
it
only
doesn't it
doing
doesn't
Star
compare.
Wars when we go back,
It
by the
doesn't
way.
compare.
We're
Yeah,
just going to
I know
Galaxy
it's
Quest.
only doing Star Wars, but it doesn't compare to everything else for sure.
And it was cool too, because what I think Finn really said it way more eloquently than I am now, but it was what we saw there. It wasn't a ride like Space Mountain. It was this amazing naturally occurring waterfall.
Hmm.
It was a geyser that just kept erupting in front of us.
Yeah,
Um, and I think too, something that I know I took away from that trip too was all the people we interacted with there, all the Icelandic folks, all had this just great way of talking about their country with great pride, even in the things that they didn't like. They still talked about with pride because it was still something positive for Iceland, I think.
definitely. I mean, they know that they're starting to become more of a tourist country, but they know they're not completely on the map right now. But everyone there is so kind and they love their country so much. And it's really amazing the people that you can meet there. And I was so surprised when I went there of how kind the people were and how everyone you met could walk right up to you, start a conversation, and then you could leave and they would remember you forever, and it would
Well,
be great.
I think too, though, with that too, also the people we met there from America, or not even just from America. We met some Aussies. We met some folks from all over our country, from all over the world, essentially, that were vacationing there. But it was they were just as cool
Yeah,
as the people who lived there, right?
yeah, definitely. I mean, people from all around the world. You go to Iceland, it's like you're a different person, you know. It really opens you up, and I think that's amazing. I didn't know, well, maybe I'm exaggerating this a little bit, but you definitely change when you go there, and everything is so peaceful. It's not as quick as it is here, and it was amazing.
Except on the Northern Lights tour when they
Except
were
on the Northern
speeding
Lights tour.
in the
six
dark.
hours in a bus, speeding in the dark, multiple K-turns.
So, so
Guys, I have found an item. I'm just gonna go talk with my colleagues. We were sitting in a bus for 2 hours, not moving, stationary. And he's talking to his colleagues, and then we go.
so you go to Iceland, right? And the Northern Lights are a humongous attraction
This
there,
is the
right?
best picture I'm ever going to take, guys.
Oh, yeah, you're blowing people's ears out that are running right now listening to this, right? So we do the Northern Lights tour, and we get picked up in our little minibus with our driver, whose name I can't pronounce or remember at this point. But you're not guaranteed to see the Northern Lights, right? They're a naturally occurring phenomena, but you have folks that are like Northern Lights hunters. And our driver definitely was a Northern Lights hunter. It was not his first night on the job. And it was not predicted to be this amazing Northern Lights night that we went out, but you're still going. And he was, they were very honest. I mean, Icelandic people were honest. Everyone we met was honest about
Very
everything.
honest.
And he was trying to get us to see these Northern Lights. And when I mean we spent 6 hours in a minibus driving in the dark, because you start your tour at like 10 o'clock at night or so, 9 o'clock at night when it's already super dark. I don't even know. I was like, we just decided to start having fun with it and being like, we are never getting back to our hotel tonight. And we're crisscrossing around. And he's like, I'm going to go to the north. No. My colleague called me. We go to the west. K-turn. Flying down this road. Flying down this road. You can't see anything. You see jack shit there. I just made it explicit this episode, but who cares? Nothing. And then all of a sudden, he got like super stoked.
Super excited.
Like super excited,
goodness.
and we drove even faster, and the roads got even windier. And I don't even think he had the van in park, and he was already out of it, grabbing his camera, and he's like, "Come follow me!" And like off we go down a dirt path. Declan took off. Like it's 1 a.m. and we're following this man into the pitch dark land of Iceland.
I mean, I'm pretty good at impressions. And if you can imagine you're sweating in the back of a bus, crammed in between 3, 4 other people, this guy's screaming over the bus intercom, and he goes, this is what he says. Guys, this is going to be the best picture I've ever taken. Guys, we're going to a waterfall. Okay, come on, guys. Come on. And you get out of the bus. You're sweating. You're tired. It's freezing out there. And you see this guy with his tripod and his camera running down a hill. And he says, this is going to be the best picture he's ever took. And you look into the sky and you see nothing. And then
so our night on the Northern Lights, they were not dancing for us, and the sky looked really white, like, which was cool at night to see the sky looking really white. But with this guy's camera, he was actually able to get it so it's an entire green background. Like the sky was filled with light. We just couldn't see it the way it was. But the adventure was made it half the fun.
It was a pretty crazy night. And he really wanted to see those northern lights, and I congratulate him for spending all this time in a bus driving however fast he was going down every single road.
It was really fast. Like there was times where I was like, "Oh my god, put your seatbelts on! Everyone, put your seatbelts on!" Yeah, at one point we passed one of the speed limit signs, and that like blinks at when you're going too fast, and this one just had a frowny face in red. I've never seen a frowny face before, but I'm like, "Whoa, we really must be going fast."
It was pretty fast.
But I think too, taking the boys, overseas at a younger age, it exposed them to different cultures, obviously very different than the United States. And I know we want to go back to other places, and I know they want to go back to other places, and I'm excited to see if they find some kind of off the beaten track places that maybe we can travel to at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, going to these different places that you tell your friends, and they're like, "You're going where?" And then you're like, "Oh, I'm going to Iceland." And I mean, but they don't. especially at my age, when they first brought it up, I was like, this is very out of the ordinary. I don't know about this. I'd rather go to a more popular destination. But after this trip, it really opened my eyes to these smaller places that you can go and have 10 times more fun and 10 times a better experience than if you were going to a more popular tourist destination, I guess.
I think too what we're kind of into, or at least I'm into, and I think the boys are into it, and Tracy just kind of flows along with us when we go though, is kind of like adventure tourism a little bit too, where we like to do things, right? Like I like to be out with the boys hiking or going on some kind of a zip lining adventure. We did that last year or 2 years ago, just as a little guys trip where we did a zip lining trip. And I think that Iceland had a little bit of everything in it. It had the touristy stuff, it had the adventure. We've definitely found some more adventures that we want to go on there the next time we go, but
Definitely.
that makes it even more fun to be able to do something that you wouldn't normally do at home, like go hike into a glacier, right?
Yeah. Iceland also has some great food. That was a big highlight. Amazing food there.
And I
But
didn't even think that. Like, yeah, that's another good one. So, like, Tracy and I are kind of, we're not foodies, but we really like to eat. So, I guess we are foodies. And it's been cool to introduce the boys to that end of our life, too. And it wasn't something we started doing at a very young age because, it's chicken fingers and fries and cheeseburgers. And it's still chicken fingers and fries and cheeseburgers
sometimes.
sometimes, most of the time. But we've tried to get them out to dinner. We there's kind of a chain fancier restaurant near us here called Seasons 52, and we started maybe like 4 years ago. I'd say we do like fancy dinner where we would go there and get a little more dressy and introduce the boys to things that aren't necessarily chicken fingers and grilled cheese,
Yeah.
although it doesn't always work when you're out there.
They do a flatbread pizza at Seasons 52.
They do a flatbread pizza there that Finn's a big fan of. But we've tried to introduce them to these things, and Iceland was the first time we did a walking food tour of Reykjavik, the capital, and it was pretty epic, right?
It was pretty amazing. There was a lot of great food that we ate, and our tour guide was amazing too.
But do you think you probably wouldn't? I probably couldn't have convinced you to eat half that stuff, right?
No, probably not. I mean, if you just gave me that and said, "Here, you want to try this," and you weren't on a tour with a bunch of other people, I probably would have said no.
But everything was so good. We had lots of seafood. We had a really good stew. We did have I cannot not pickled. What was it? The shark,
Oh, fermented
fermented
shark.
shark, which was an experience. But hey, you're in Iceland, and he basically peer pressured the boys to doing it. Where like, you're gonna be a Viking now if you do this, right, Finn?
Yeah, but it was pretty disgusting. I mean, it was
It was not that bad.
gross. It was. I mean, maybe not for you, but it was pretty bad.
And you had to chew it
You
a
have to
certain amount. How
taste
many
it
times?
5 times.
5 times. You had to chew
Chew
it
it
five
5 times.
times. This is all from our tour guide, who was amazing. Finn was very right that he was a great tour guide. And
Yeah.
again, we met some great people from the UK. We met a group of
LA.
ladies from California, from the Los Angeles area,
They
and
could be listening.
they could be listening right now because we saw them every day in Iceland, not even in the city. We were out 2 hours away looking at things, and there is these ladies on their tour doing the same thing we are. So,
Yep. And then we saw them in the city too.
and then we saw them in the city too, obviously. But I just think it was a fun time, and I was excited to travel with you and get overseas. And I'm kind of looking forward to the next one, which we're kind of already planning, right? Next one's gonna be a big one. When we go see our buddy Jared Mann over in Australia, hopefully this time next year. So that's a big one. So that's like the
Pretty
biggest one ever.
one.
What's that, Bob?
Pretty large one. It's a
Pretty
long
large
time.
one. It's a pretty large one, but it's fun, right? Experiencing things, and I've said this, and I said it when we went to Disney, and Finn was fairly young at the time. Tracy Declan was even younger. Declan was really little when we went, and people are like, why are you bringing your kids there? And it was to experience Disney through their eyes at that age. And it was amazing to be with Finn and with Declan there and just seeing them light up at the thing. So obviously we go back now and I can experience it through their eyes now. where we're kind of on the same page when it comes to things like Star Wars and
Yeah.
Avengers and things like that. But it's fun.
But I mean, yeah, especially at that young age and you're seeing all this stuff for the first time, it's really great. You think Disney's the greatest place in the world when you go there and you're having so much fun. And I think it definitely is a very big experience for like younger kids. And I think it was pretty great going there at that age. Definitely. But I think going back again, it would be much different, but it would still be you're always gonna have fun there no matter what. And
Oh,
I
there's
think
no
that's
doubt.
a great aspect to it for sure.
But I think too, that's something that we try to always do. It's very easy to be anywhere, whether you're at a restaurant, whether you're on vacation. That night on the Northern Lights tour, I mean, we all got into each other a little bit because 6 hours in the back of a bus late at night is just not fun. But we rallied back quite rapidly because you always have to find the positive, right? The silver lining in everything, on whether it be on vacation, whether it be in a part of your life. And I think as a family, that's something that we try to remind each other of a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're gonna have rough patches in life, but yeah, you can't dwell on them, I guess. I mean, lots of people say this, but you really can't, or else it's gonna ruin you at some point. And looking at the positive is gonna help you through life a lot more than you think it will, for sure.
So there we go, right? There's my son, and that was not like a paid line or anything, but dropping that positivity line, right? Because Finn has grown up with a dad who has kind of put himself out there on the social media ways. He was 3 when I got involved with 555. And he got to see kind of the growth of that. He got to see me succeed. He got to see me fail. He's been part of the highs. He's been part of the lows. Obviously, when he was younger, he didn't quite understand it all. He got to see the podcast kind of come along to where we are now, and trying to stay as positive as possible has been one of my like life missions. And it's not always the easiest thing, and I don't always succeed, but it's trying to find that positivity in each thing that comes up in life. And that's what I like to promote, that
Yeah.
aggressively positive attitude that Ryan and I used to speak about all the time.
Yeah, you definitely want to stay as positive as you can. And I mean, when it comes to other people and trying to stay positive when it's a situation with a different person, you always have to be or strive to be the bigger person because if you're acting just like they are and you know that they're not doing something right, you're going to fall to their standard and you know that's something that you don't want. So act you need to act and be the bigger person and not fall to their level. And you know what they're doing isn't right, but you can't let that get to you. And you need to take the opportunities that you're given and really use them to your greatest advantage and stay positive at all times.
Buddy, like, I can't believe you're my kid. Like, what did I do to get you to say all these things? Like, I swear I'm not paying him at all. This is just, I gave him a sweatshirt this Christmas for this, but you're just wrecking it out, man. And, it's no secret that I'm like a super proud dad, and proud of my kids and their successes. And I think, something that's worth kind of talking about is your success up on the stage, buddy, because, you've been really successful in plays and now with School of Rock, and you put in a lot of the work on the back end. I cannot sing at all. I try, and they tell me not to. I can talk. We all know that. But, I've gotten to watch Finn act in several plays now and perform in several School of Rock shows. And it's like your natural habitat is that stage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love being on the stage so much and um if someone was to ask me, what do you think being high feels like? I would give them the exact, I would tell them it feels like what I feel like when I'm on stage. Because when I start performing, it feels like nothing can stop me. and that I'm free. I'm not thinking about school or friends or anything else. And I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I guess I'm not even in the moment. I'm kind of somewhere else, and my body and my mouth is just doing its thing, I guess, but it feels so great. And I never want to give that feeling up. I want to have it all the time, and that's why I really strive to be on Broadway at some point or be an actor at some point, because that feeling really helps me through some hard times. And I think without these shows that I'm doing, I wouldn't be able to get through these tough times. I mean, my first play after my grandmother's passing, it really changed me and helped me through the experience that I was going through. And I think without that, I wouldn't have been able to make it through like I did.
Oh, you definitely would have made it through, but it would have been a little bit different, right? And it's pretty amazing too, because Finn has done like a lot of things. Like kids try different things. He's done Brazilian jiu-jitsu with Ricardo, one of our former guests. He's had success in cross-country running. He's had success in school with different achievements and grades and art. He's had success on the lacrosse field, and you watch him do all these things, and you watch your kids, and there's no lie. We're all living our lives through our kids' eyes in a way, because that's part of what it is. But it's so different when we see him on that stage. And the first major play he was in, I just sat there flabbergasted while watching it the first night, and watching him dance and sing and act and become this character. And at one point, Tracy like leaned over to me and she was crying, and she's like, "That's our son." And I'm like, "I know." And I had nothing else, because you just see him in this role, and just all the work that he and the whole cast puts in, and it all comes together. But he's like a different person up there.
Yeah, I'm around 99.99999% sure that nothing I will ever do will compare to doing these plays and shows. And I do agree, I turn into a much different person. And I don't know how that happens. I don't know why it happens, but it really changes me, and it's an amazing experience, and I love doing it, and I couldn't be the same person without it, and I love it so much. I really do.
It's so cool though when I get to hear you say that, because dude, you're 13 years old, and you really do love it, and you really do put in the work. Like he's at home and he's practicing his lines for the play, or the songs that he's got to sing for School of Rock. He's downstairs banging on his drums or playing on the piano. All of these things in the arts that you need to do to be successful in the future. And Finn has no idea where or who he's going to be in a few years, or where he's going to go, but he has his eyes set on this dream of, Broadway obviously is the top of the theater
Yeah.
pecking order, I guess. And who knows what course he'll take to get there, or if he may or may not get there. But the focus that he has now is probably just unreal, that at least he's trying to chase that goal.
Yeah, I really want to get there, and I'm willing to do a lot of things to get there. And I think even if it takes a while or I don't get there at all, the experience and the road that I've taken to try and get there or to get there has been better, and it has made me a better person, and it's been a great experience no matter what. And I think I'm gonna keep that attitude throughout my whole life, even if you don't get to the point that you're trying to strive to, the road that you took to get there is what really matters.
And that's a huge part of it too, because now, Finn, as he's getting a little bit older and really getting into this, we're starting to allow him to audition for more things, and more opportunities are coming towards him. But these opportunities aren't just being handed to him, and I think that's what we're going to see here in 2024, is you trying for more things, maybe not always getting them, but how you bounce back, because that's a really big part too, right? Because look, let's face it, whether you're 13 years old or you're 45 years old, rejection sucks, right? It sucks in every way, shape, or form, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in trying to get a job, whether it be in trying to get a part, whether it trying to be to get sponsors for this podcast. I mean, way more people have said no, and it kind of sucks. And so I think watching Finn go through these auditions and this process and then bounce back after it for the next one is going to be a cool thing for this year for him. And obviously, we're going to be here for him because it's going to suck, but you know, I think
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
Definitely. I mean, I know that I'm gonna get rejected sometimes, and that not everything's gonna go my way, but I can't let that get me down. I need to take that in stride almost and figure out what I can do to do better and then get the next one and show them and show everyone that I guess I can do this and that even those rejections are what led me to finally getting somewhere. And I hope that's what happens, honestly.
I hope it's definitely going to happen, right? Not everybody's perfect in
Yeah, but I
everything they
hope
do.
that the road that I take there is what it makes me better.
Well, for sure, because you're
Definitely.
going to pick up things along the way, like you already have with the shows that you've been in and the roles that you've been cast for. And you've learned things, and it's really an interesting thing that Finn, when he does a play, he is like all about being the character and all about dancing around and building up to it. In School of Rock, he's the lead singer and he's grown. I feel like he was more natural in a play than he was just standing there with a microphone singing, but he's growing into taking that role of School of Rock and becoming a rock star. Where in an interesting flip of events, his brother gets up on the stage at School of Rock and literally just he is a rock star. Like
Yeah.
it's quite it's just a natural thing for him where that wasn't necessarily natural for Finn, but he's starting to get more and more natural with it, I feel like.
Yeah, Declan is 100% natural up on that stage. I don't know how he does it, but I am never going to get to the point where he's at in School of Rock. And it's really great watching him and knowing that he has so much pure talent that he's going off of. And it's really great to watch him, and I love it so
I have
much.
no idea where that came from either, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a big thing in 2024 we got is more plays and more School of Rock shows and hopefully maybe some musical tours. We'll have to see though. We don't know yet. We have auditions coming up, so but we have those kinds of things going on this year. We got our boys from Wrexham. Finn's rocking out his Ollie Palmer hat. We'll tag him in this in the 1864
Yeah.
WXM clothing line, right?
Got it yesterday for Christmas.
That's
I
it,
love
man.
it.
Wrexham had a big win today, big Boxing Day win, because it is actually Boxing Day today.
Fucking it. Yeah.
So they had a big win, big 1-0 win. But we got our boys from Wrexham, we got some trips planned to go down under to see our pals over there. And then you have your last year of middle school to finish up here.
Yeah,
It's
I
kind
do.
of a big deal.
We go to high school. Kind of nervous. Yeah.
Did you see? So if you're still listening here at the 51-minute mark, right? Finn just changed. That became like the oh my god, I'm nervous. Finn. Not nervous about anything else. Talking to however many thousands of people are listening to this, but we said go to high school, and he's like,
Oh,
it's a big
yeah.
deal though, and you should be nervous. I feel like it's a big step in life.
Yeah. I'm definitely nervous, but all these people that I know in high school, they all tell me that it's one of the greatest things that have ever happened to them and that it's so different from middle school and that they love it so much. So I guess I'm definitely nervous, but I'm looking forward to it at the same time because I've heard so many great things about it. And I'm excited for the theater program and choir because I've heard so many amazing things and I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm definitely very nervous for it.
But that's good, right? It's good to be nervous about anything that's new, right? Anything that's coming up in life. Like that kind of it's going to keep you on your toes, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to just be the one here keeping you on your toes. I want you
Yeah.
keeping yourself on your toes, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm thinking about it right now, and it's like I'm thinking high school starts right now, in school and these grades that I'm getting, and I really gotta do good because the teachers are always like, we're gonna prepare you for college and high school, and they're not gonna let this slide in high school. And it's like, and or when you're in third grade, it's like, when you go to middle school, they're not gonna let this happen. So we're preparing you, but and you think, oh man, they're just saying that to say it, but they're telling you the truth. They're really preparing me for what's to come. And I'm taking a high school level math class right now. I'm in algebra, and at one point I wasn't doing so good, and I looked at what I was doing wrong, and I looked at these quizzes and these grades that I was getting, and I was like, I'm making very silly mistakes. So I said I need to take more time and I need to pay attention, and it really changed me. And I went from a 72 average to an 85 in 2 weeks. And I know it's kind of stupid because I'm in
Got
middle
that from
school.
me. Got that from me.
I know it's stupid, but I'm in middle school, but I'm really preparing now, and I'm saying to myself, if I'm doing good right now, I will be ready, and I don't have anything to worry about. I can still be nervous, but I don't have to worry. And I know that I'm going to be ready when the first day of freshman year comes.
But see, buddy, it's not stupid, right? Because it's kind of odd the way their math grades work. And Finn got, the tests are very, they put a lot of weight on test, and he didn't fail a test. He just didn't do great on a test. So it dropped his average down. And, we talked about it, and he took it seriously, right? And that's a big part of life. He took the responsibility for his own, you know, shortcomings on that one test and
Yeah.
looked at it and sought out the help he needed and fixed it himself. And we were here for him. There was talk of, if we need to get you a tutor or if you need more help. I could not help him with his test at all because that's just not my gig. But we really took it like head on, I think. And I think that's a big thing for you. And I
Yeah.
agree with what his teachers are doing. They're preparing him for the next step. And we all have to be out there preparing ourselves for that next step, whether it be school, job, work, anything like that. And mom is texting us. So she wants to know what we're doing right now. No one's answering.
Is she calling?
Just text her that we're doing a podcast here. This is what you get when you get a family podcast. The other one is downstairs building a gajillion piece of Lego he got for Christmas that he could be done with by now. But that's it, right? It's being prepared for that next step that's so important. And again, I praise our school district. I'll shout them out. The Upper Freehold Regional School District.
Yeah.
Like Finn said, third grade they were talking about middle school already. It starts at fifth grade. In sixth grade they were talking about high school. And I think in high school they're going to start talking about college, because if you're just letting folks go along sailing in life, oh, everything will be fine, everything will be fine, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, you see these kids' grades in my school, and it's like they're having 60 averages in every class right now, and it's not going to help you at all. It's not going to help you in the long run, and they're not going to be, and I know that they're not going to be ready for when that day comes of high school, and I really hope that it's not going to stay like that. And preparing now is what's going to make you better when that day comes.
He just cares about everyone. It's again, this whole episode has been just like me sitting here. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening in your car, just tune on YouTube a little bit, because I've looked at Finn a couple times when he was talking, and I just know that, like, I have the proud parent look on me right now, like, of just, oh my god, that's my son. Like, I'm so happy we did this episode, Finn. Are you?
Oh, I'm very happy.
I
I
know you've
love
been
how
you've been wanting to
excited
do
I
it for a
am.
while, and you did really good. I know you were a little worried about it, but I think you got a lot of you out there to folks, and that's a big part of coming on any podcast, is trying to get a little bit of the authentic you out to the listeners, because they can learn something from you.
Yeah.
And I really hope a lot of you got something from Finn today. And if you have some kids, let them listen to it, because I think it's important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, very well said. I don't really have anything else to say about that one. Kind of, my flow kind of just stopped.
It happens though, right?
And
So that's a hard part of doing podcasts, right? Sometimes you lose your flow, and then you're like, oh, what do I do? Like, if you've gone back and listened, there's been times where I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot what I was going to get at with
yeah,
that. And it becomes a challenge, but it's also part of the fun of doing it. So I think, we'll get some more in here. We definitely got some great sound bites. So that's for sure.
yeah,
So mom will be proud when she listens.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, did you tell her we're doing a podcast? Oh,
Yeah,
Dex
I
is
did.
telling her.
She
Dex
said
actually texted her back too.
she's asking about like my songs and stuff.
Oh,
But I
geez,
practice.
the pressure's on for mom. You did practice
I
already
practice.
today. Practiced already today. All right. So as we wrap up, Finn, and we do all things good, you've kind of already done the size up 10, but I
Oh,
changed a little
I
bit for
did a little bit.
2024 here. So we got a little change in there. So we're gonna hit the size up 10 before we sign off. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Definitely a surf kid right
Definitely.
there. Night out or night in?
You heard me talk about this last time we did this. What season is it? Can it be like any season I want?
Sure. Pick a season.
Okay, it is summer night out.
If it was winter,
Night in.
oh, there you go. Okay. That's how you base it in 13-year-old world.
Cool.
I want to be out in the cold. A good book or a good movie, Finn?
Good movie for sure.
Yeah, Finn's seen some pretty cool movies too. I gotta say I'm proud of his movie knowledge. Cross country road trip. Who is your celebrity co-pilot?
There's a lot of actors that I look up to, and I really love J.K. Simmons' work, and I would love to talk to him about that. So definitely him.
What movie was he in?
J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
gotcha,
he was in Whiplash, Fletcher.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
love his work
That's a good
for
one.
sure.
Finn, do you make your bed every day?
No, he had this talk with me like the other week, and he's like, "If you make your bed every morning, then you've at least accomplished something today." And I mean, it's really great, but I don't remember to do it, and I don't make it. I'm not gonna remember to do it.
We're gonna work on this. Give me a favorite book, buddy. Favorite book.
Night Books by I think it's J.A. White. For sure. I read that over the summer. I don't know if that's the author's name, but I read that over the summer and it's an amazing book. Definitely the first of its kind that I read, but it was pretty great. I love that.
Cool. Finn just read The Outsiders, which I thought was pretty cool too, because that's one of my favorites from back in the day. So, and he had already seen the movie, so he knows to stay golden, Pony Boy, right?
Yeah.
Where am I at here? You really don't even highways or back roads. Which one would you rather be on? Highway?
I'd throw up.
It's true.
It gets hot in the back of the car. It gets pretty hot in there.
Oh, I love this kid. Give me a bucket list place to visit, buddy.
Australia.
I was gonna say you can't say Australia because we pretty much know we're going there.
Venice, Italy.
Venice, Italy. I have not been to Venice, so that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, we can do that because we're definitely hitting Italy in the next couple of years. So we'll hit Venice for sure. Football or football?
Football.
Of course, man. We're all go Wrexham, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And again, um, welcome to Wrexham. Finn and I were Ted Lasso fans, and then Welcome to Wrexham started, and then we picked up following the Red Dragons as our football club, which the whole story has been great, right?
Yeah, it's a really great story of what Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney did for them. I mean, you would think they're just these famous guys coming in with money and they're just going to buy the team and do nothing, but they really changed the team for the better and they love that team so much. And it's amazing to watch and it's amazing to see the team grow and progress how they have today.
Not
And
just the team,
it's an
but the
amazing
what? What else
show.
besides the team?
And the fans and the town and the whole community of Wrexham. It's really great to watch.
Yeah, I think
Great
that's the cool
show.
part for me for Welcome to Wrexham for sure
Yeah.
is watching just the town rally
Yeah.
around that and not even knowing their story before this, but hearing it all now has just been. See, the boy can sing. See, he's right in with the song there. I didn't even think we get you to sing on this one, but you just crushed it with the song right there from what are they? The Declan.
I don't. It was like Declan.
Yeah, that's the name of the band because it's
like
Declan.
something.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
who
know.
sings it. All right.
Declan Swans.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Anyway, all right, last one, man. And again, we're just gonna go with the best advice you could give. It's normally to your younger self, but maybe if you think about something you could say to your younger self, you've given loads of good advice, Finn. So if you want to just end it at what you've given, say, be like, go back and listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
but
I think just go back and listen. Yeah, definitely. I've said a lot of inspirational stuff this time around.
You definitely way more than the last time we played around doing this. But
yeah, and best advice I think it would just be look at the positive and you got to fight through everything. You can't let anything get you down and you're always gonna every experience there's gonna be something positive that comes out of it, and you just need to make sure that you know that that's what's gonna happen.
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. Thank you very much for coming on with me today, buddy.
Thank
I'm
you for having me.
very happy we did this. I didn't know how it was going to go. And I was like, people are going to be like, he couldn't find a guest. So he threw his son on there. Like, and maybe that was part of it too. No. But,
Yeah.
you did an excellent job, man. And I'm really
Yeah.
proud of you. And I'm really excited to see where, your life goes. I
Yeah.
get to experience it every day with you. It's so nice. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry this time. But thank you for coming on. Thank you to everyone for listening, man. And let's have this, great 2024. I think that's, and everybody says that every year, like, oh, let's have a great year. And you're right, you should. But I feel like 2024 is going to be a big year for so many people, including Finn, hopefully for the podcast and National Fire Radio here, and hopefully for all of you listening. So thank you again for tuning in for the Size Up by National Fire Radio. This is Pip, because what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.